Some damn foolish thing in the Balkans, Bismarck once predicted, would ignite a major war. In 1914, just as in 1912 and 1875, tensions were running high in the troubled region. Thousands of ethnic Slavs, ruled by Austria-Hungary, remained determined to break away. The tiny kingdom of Serbia was the center of Slavic resistance. Many in the country were eager to expand it into a kingdom of Greater Serbia. One such patriot was Gavrilo Princip. Princip had been rejected by the Serb army for being too small.
Wherever I went, people took me for a weakling, even though I was not.
Princip finally found acceptance in a secret Serbian society, the Black Hand. On June 28, 1914, the heir to the Austrian throne, Archduke Franz Ferdinand, paid an official visit to the city of Sarajevo. Waiting for him were the assassins of the Black Hand. At 11 a.m., a wrong turn by the Archduke's driver brought the heir to the Austrian throne face to face with Gavrilo Princip.
At that moment, I was filled with a strange feeling, and I aimed at the Archduke from the pavement. I fired twice, perhaps more.
Within minutes, both the Archduke and his wife were dead. Austria and its emperor, Franz Joseph, wanted to punish Serbia. To his ally, the Kaiser, he cabled, "Their policy of uniting all southern Slavs under the Serbian flag encourages such crimes. Serbia must be eliminated as a political factor in the Balkans." Despite the dangers, the Kaiser and his military staff pledged Austria their full support. The alliance system had long ago set a deadly trap. Now it would be sprung. On July 28, 1914, Austria declared war against Serbia. But war between Austria and Serbia meant war between Austria and Russia. That meant war between Russia and Germany. And that meant war between Germany and France. And that meant war between Germany and Britain. In a flash, the whole continent was going to be at war. Wilhelm, finally realizing the consequences, tried to back away.
The Kaiser basically wants to avoid the general war. It then becomes clear that the Kaiser, far from being the supreme power in Germany, doesn't matter at all, because effectively the Chief of the General Staff says, "I'm terribly sorry, sire, but the war is going to happen anyway."
The Kaiser may have been uncertain about how to respond to the crisis, but not Jean Jaurès. Just as in 1912, he organized an emergency socialist congress, this time in Brussels.
Citizens, we must stop this specter from rising from its grave every 6 months to terrify the world. Human beings of all countries, this is the work of peace and justice we have to accomplish.
The next morning, Jaurès climbed aboard a train for Paris. By now, events were moving too fast for Jaurès, for diplomats and even heads of state. In desperation, Nicholas and Wilhelm began a curious exchange of messages by telegraph.
July 28th, to the Kaiser. I beg you, in the name of our old friendship, to do what you can to stop your allies from going too far. Nicky.
To the Tsar. With regard to the hearty and tender friendship which binds both of us from long ago with firm ties, I'm exerting my utmost influence to arrive at a satisfactory understanding with you. Your very sincere and devoted friend and cousin, Willie.
while the two cousins professed their friendship, their generals were preparing for war. On July 30th, Nicholas's staff told him Russia had to mobilize its army.
Think of what an awful responsibility you are advising me to take. Think of the thousands and thousands of men who will be sent to their deaths.
Nicholas held out until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Then he agreed to mobilize.
The hidden element in the war crisis of 1914 is the word honor. Honor is something you defend, sometimes irrationally, sometimes even when it isn't at issue. In fact, I would say in every case, it was in no great power's interest to go to war in 1914, and yet they all did it. And one answer may be because their honor was at stake.
The Russian mobilization was just what the German General Staff wanted. Now Germany could mobilize under the pretense that it was only responding to a threat. France soon followed. On the evening of July 31st, as French troops marched through the streets of Paris, Jean Jaurès and his colleagues gathered at a café on the Rue Montmartre. At a table near the window, the men surrounded Jaurès, eager to hear his thoughts on the coming war.
I gave my full attention to him, while he gave his vision for mankind and of things to be. The expression of his face held enough for a Rembrandt.
As Jaurès talked, a man stood on the sidewalk, staring at him. He was Raoul Vilan, an ultra-patriot who was thrilled with a war Jaurès wanted to stop. As Vilan watched, a man from a nearby table showed Jaurès a photograph of his little girl. At that moment, Vilan leaned in through the window.
Behind me, a revolver slid by, held in a hand. Bang! A reddish flash, like the flame from a cigar. Then I heard a heartbreaking cry. They have killed Jaurès. They have killed Jaurès.
When Jaurès went, a lot more than an individual went with him. And with that one act, where Jaurès is swept away from the stage, we can see the end of a long and extraordinarily hopeful moment. What was left after that was simply the speeches at his grave and the decision to mark his death by defeating the German invaders.